When you look around the homeschool world, it seems like every homeschool mom is she's Mary Poppins. She's just having a good time. She loves homeschool and she is just embracing it and seems to be happy and joyful every single day. Well, that's debatable whether that's really how it is or she just putting her best foot forward, especially when it comes to social media. We're not going to necessarily show all of those rotten days, but what you're seeing is probably the highlights. And on the other side of that, you feel like you're just putting in your time. You're thinking to yourself, I just need to get through today, get through this week, get through this homeschool year. But guess what? Next homeschool year is going to show up and you're going to have the same thought patterns, the same way of thinking and approaching it, the same attitude. The time is going to pass. And when your homeschooling journey, we'll say homeschool career is over, will you look back with regrets due to your thoughts, your attitude, and your perspective? We're thinking down the road. How are we going to look back? Yes, we're going to regret maybe some curriculum and some things that we did, and we can say to our kids, I'm sorry, that was not a very good choice. I shouldn't have pushed you to do that math that made you cry every day. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not that kind of stuff. It's the stuff that's going on, the running thoughts in your mind, your heart posture, your position, your attitude, the way you're looking at your homeschool. Years down the road, are you going to look back and say, you know what? I could have done that better. The power was in my hands to surrender to God and then to allow him to change me from the inside out and to think differently about my homeschool. So today we are going to talk about how you can enjoy your homeschool days, because I no longer want you to feel like you're just putting in your time. That's not what homeschool really is. That is not what God has for you. He has something different. So let's take a look at what you can do practically and what you can start doing today to make that shift. Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool. I am your host and the founder of Little by Little Homeschool. I am Leigh Nguyen, and I am so glad that you are here today joining me for this episode. I hope so much that you're having a good day. I hope that you are just seeing the blessing of having your kids. And if you're not, I hope that this episode helps you with that. I am a mother towards the end of my journey of homeschooling, and I am so thankful. Was it hard at times? Absolutely. But I look back and I have no regrets of the time and the energy, the budget and the resources and the emotions and everything that went into homeschooling my kids. My oldest is now 23 and I have a 21-year-old, and I am homeschooling my final homeschooler who is in the final stretch here to finishing up this spring. And I hope that years down the road, you're able to say the same thing, to look back. And that's why I do this podcast. So let's get into today's episode. What we are going to talk about today has been a huge battle for most of my life. Even as a child, I would feel like I'm just putting in the time, just looking forward to the next thing and just having my eyes just on that. And there's nothing wrong with having a goal, but I was missing what was right in front of me. And I unfortunately carried this attitude, this way of looking at life into homeschool. And homeschool is one of the greatest sources. I mean, it's included. When I say homeschool, it's included with motherhood. It is one of the greatest sources that the Lord has used for my sanctification, for his glory, and for the good of my family and just the heart change that I have had. I am so thankful for it. I only wish that I had snapped out of this thought pattern of just putting in my time today so much earlier. Yes, like I mentioned, the homeschool years, they're hard. There is a lot of ups and downs. There are days and weeks, months, possibly even an entire homeschool year or more that is just down. And it's hard. There are heart issues. There are character issues. There is a lot that we are trying to tackle when it comes to just the overall raising and rearing of our children, to impart upon them a Christian worldview and to teach them our faith so that they then have that foundation and that grows into their own faith. And so, yes, it's going to get hard. And there's going to feel days that you're just like, I just got to get through this hard day. And I'm not saying that you aren't going to have down days where you're just like, if I can just get through today and get everybody to bed, if I can just make it to the end of the day and I can sit down and put my feet up just for a couple of minutes. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. But my concern is when this is an overall thought pattern, and this is something that is just dominating your thoughts. Like I said earlier, let's get through today. Let's get through the week. Let's get through this homeschool year. And then guess what? You're going to say the same exact thing next homeschool year. Let's get through today. Let's get through the week. Let's get through the homeschool year. And guess what? 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years have passed by and you've missed it. In a blink of an eye, our kids' childhood is gone and we get this time right now. Most of your relationship with your children will be with them as adults. But we get this special time with them that nobody else is going to get this insight into their growth physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We get a front row seat. And that is really cool. And that is something that we can really miss out on if we're too focused on other things, if we're just too focused on checking off lists or too many other things that are going on. So I have a couple of things that I want to mention to you today that really help me to snap out of this, because I don't want you to feel like you're just putting in your time. That's not what homeschooling is. Okay. Overall, again, there are going to be some days you're like, okay, I have to get through. There's just so much that is going on. And I feel like that right now in my season, there's just like, I'm like, okay, it's a puzzle piece. I got to put this together and this together. And I've got big kids that have things going on and want to be there for them and just all the things. And so I get it. But I try to take moments of every single day of being like, okay, let's not just do the things that we need to do. Let's really soak in our time together. And so the first thing that I want to mention that really helped me to enjoy my homeschool days was to do things during the homeschool day, even if it was just one thing that I enjoyed doing in homeschooling. So for you, that could be a certain curriculum. That could be all of your curriculum. It could be a certain subject that you're doing. It could be field trips. It could be art projects. It could be maybe you enjoy doing music, or it could be you enjoy sports and your gym and PE class. What is it that will help you to enjoy homeschool? Homeschool doesn't just have to be doing those list of subjects that your state homeschool regulations say that they're supposed to do. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be just mundane and just over and over again every day is just like, it's like you're in a factory and you're just doing the same thing. You just have one little part, plug this thing into this thing. Then the next thing, you're just putting this one part into something. And so try to think to yourself, like, what are some things you would enjoy doing? So I'm going to give you an example. For me right now, I love our morning time books that we're doing. I will curate a stack of books and then to allow him, and I've done this for years with them. When I had all 3 kids, I would allow them then to choose. So the first one would get to choose and then the second. And so when I had choices, a selection of books or certain categories of books that they could choose from, whether that was choosing between 2 or 3 books or 10 books, but now it's just him. So I have a stack of books. And then when we finish a book, then we move on to the next, we'll say subject or the next category that I like to do. And so I don't completely leave him out when I'm choosing these books, but these are books. I mean, he can understand and conversate with you about adult topics. And so therefore, these books are books that I actually personally would like to read and don't necessarily have the free time to do so, but I can include it in our homeschool and then I can check off 2 boxes at once, right? I am getting some of the reading done and some of the learning and education that I want to do, but I'm also doing it with him. So that's something that I love to do with our homeschool, and I enjoy doing that. So that really is something that I look forward to. I will make my cup of coffee, my homemade latte, and I will sip on that while I read to him, and I just really enjoy that time of the day. So think to yourself, what is something that you would enjoy doing, and include that in your homeschool? Maybe it's something simple like taking a walk. Now, I know this episode, we are mid-February. You might be living in an area, you're like, yeah, we're not really doing that. We've had a very cold and snowy winter. And so, yes, we do try to get out when we can, but maybe it's not applicable right now, but you can find something, you can find somewhere inside to walk. But this is just an example. Maybe you enjoy taking a walk and you're like, you know what? Let's just get out in our neighborhood, observe things. It's fun when you just kind of take the same walk, maybe walk past the same houses and the kids start to see, maybe update someone does to the house or how the house changes like as the spring comes and the buds on the tree and they just start to observe things, and it helps to teach them to observe things that are within their area, and they really help to feel like they know the area. And with my kids now, I can talk to them about like, oh, this house, I don't know the number of the house. I don't even always know the exact street. I'll kind of explain. And we've done so many walks in our neighborhood that they know exactly. I'm like, oh, this person added a fence, and I'll kind of describe the house and they know exactly what it is. But just what is something that you will enjoy? Include that into your homeschool. The second thing that will really help you to enjoy your homeschool days is for you not to, we'll say in air quotes, do homeschool all day. Put a time frame on it. Put a start time, put an end time, and then move on with your life. Yes, homeschool is all of it. It's a family culture. It's a raising of our children. But when you have your curriculum, put a time frame on it, put an end time, and then move on with your life. I have had, for most of my homeschool years, I am done with it at noon. There may have been years where they dilly-dallied and didn't want to do things and just kind of were pushing back and just sitting there staring at the wall. Well, then guess what? You still have to do your math work after lunch. You don't have that free time like you would have. As they got older, some of them were taking some online college courses. And yes, the workload was more. So therefore, it just was natural for them to do stuff afterwards. But for me, I was like, I am done at noon. I can do some checking of your work after that. That's fine with me. But I'm not doing any more lessons. So they knew that this is the time that we have mom. And it's not going to look pretty if I am fighting her all morning and she never gets that math lesson. So don't do homeschool all day. Put an end time to it so that you know this is the end time. And now we are going to shift into a different gear. My third suggestion for how you can enjoy your homeschool days is to create some fun days. Now you're going to want to go back and listen to episode 298. I've got a list of them and maybe pick from one of that list, but I want to share with you one right now today that I remember doing, and it just really helped me to enjoy my days because honestly, I felt like I got a little bit of a break. The kids, it really changed their moods and their perspective and helped them to just feel better about being home. We weren't just every day, just, hitting the books every day, do a math lesson, do language arts, do history, do science. It just kind of broke up maybe possibly the monotony of that. And so what I would declare is I was like, typically, this wasn't always something planned. Or maybe I would plan it on a Sunday and say, you know what? We've got a busy week. I know that by Friday, I am going to be done. But I also don't want to just have it a absolute free-for-all and that there isn't some type of focus. Or maybe you might just say, it's been a little bit busy. I think by Wednesday, we're going to need just a little bit of a break. Or sometimes it'd be in the evening. I would be taking a look at what we have planned for the next day and just say, you know what? I think we all need a little bit of a break. We need to just kind of have some fun. And so I would declare a fun day. Now you might be like, okay, how much work is this going to be for me? Well, this idea is really not going to be any work at all for you. And so I would declare, especially in the winter, this certain day, or you could say once a week, we're going to do this, or it's going to be every Monday. You might say, you know what? I don't like to start off the week with having lessons. I like to have a little bit of a slower start. You could say every Monday. Now, you don't just have to do this in the winter, but this is a really good idea, especially now in the winter when it just is like, oh, it's cold. We're kind of stuck inside and we're just kind of done with it, right? Everybody's waiting for spring. So especially in the winter, you could do to say, we're going to do this once a week. We're going to do this every other week. But it was just a free learning day. And so it wasn't just them sitting on screens. For kids, so many different things are learning. And they get to choose. What is that? So that would be spending time on a hobby. Or maybe it's just building Legos and it just is working their mind in a different type of learning. Now, if you do a little bit more of a free, more unschooling approach, this might just kind of be like what your day looks like. But if you are a little bit more traditional and you have certain curriculum and resources you want to get through most days, how about you could just say declaring an unschooling day, doing something a little bit different. And if you unschool and you're like, you just do something different, something that maybe the kids are just going to think is fun, but they're actually learning. And it gives you a little bit of a break. Maybe that break means it's because you have some things you need to catch up on. You might be like, I've got a lot of computer work to do. I've got a lot of maybe purchasing online, or I have some chores I need to get done. Or you know what? I would like to just sit down and knit a scarf. I just like to sit down and say, I would like to just read my own books. I just need a little bit of a break. And so if you declare maybe something like, this is a free learning day. So I want you to spend your time, I would say that spend your time wisely on things that are going to be adding to your life. And I want to see, you can come and share with me as the day goes on. I would maybe peek in. Sometimes I was like, I don't want to peek in. I don't want to be shared with as the day goes on. And they were perfectly fine with that. Show me at the end of the day, what did you do? What did you learn? And maybe at dinner, everybody just kind of a little bit of a show and tell, since they don't get a chance to do that since they're homeschooled. The last thing I want to mention is a lot of times we feel like we're putting in our time. It's because there's too much going on. You have too much on your plate. There's just overall, it's maybe church stuff, it's family stuff, it's your homeschool, it's keeping up with the home. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stress leads to you feeling like you're just putting in your time. So how can you reduce that stress? In some seasons, there really isn't much that we can let go of. Maybe there's some things in homeschool that you can let go of. Maybe there's a lot of stuff in family. Maybe you are helping to take care of, maybe you have a sick child, or maybe you have an extended family member, a parent, or somebody, there's something that's going on. Maybe it just means adjusting your homeschool so that that is less stressful. You get to control what you're doing, how much you're doing it, how often you're doing when it comes to homeschool, but slow down if you're doing too much. When we're doing too much, our stress level goes up, and therefore we feel like we just, this is just one more thing to check off the list. And then we've just put in our time and then just want to move on. So stress is going to lead to that feeling of putting in more time. So what can you do to slow down? You probably already know what you can do to slow down. Start that today. If not today, at least tomorrow. But listen, God does not promise that we are going to be happy all the time, but there should be an inner resolve of joy within us. We shouldn't feel like, as believers in Christ, that we are just, okay, get this day done, get the next day done, get the next day done. That joy should be within us, and it should come out from us. Our kids know when you feel like you're just putting in your time. They know it. They know when mom's heart really isn't in it. So I hope that some of these ideas has helped you to think differently. So your thoughts, your attitude, your perspective, and your heart shifts and changes, and that you realize the gift that you have today. If today's episode has been an encouragement to you, or you would like to just hear a little bit more, I do share more in my weekly newsletter. You can join that just by clicking the link in the show notes, and I hope to see your email over on that list. Have a great weekend, and also happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're doing something fun and able to show the love and appreciation that you have for your husband and for your children. And I'll see you after Valentine's Day and after the weekend.